In this video, I will discuss the conditions under which Bradley Manning is being held and consider possible explanations for his inhumane treatment, leading me to the unfortunate conclusion that it can be accurately characterized as an act of terror. For those not familiar with the case, Bradley Manning is a U.S. Army soldier who is currently being held in pretrial detention at the Naval Brig in Quantico, Virginia. He is awaiting trial on charges related to providing WikiLeaks with classified documents pertaining to the conduct of U.S. foreign policy and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The matter of his inhumane treatment is largely not questioned by objective sources. He has spent 23 hours a day in a sparsely furnished solitary cell and deprived of pillow, sheets, and personal possessions since July of 2010. He is classed as a maximum custody detainee in spite of the fact that he has no history of violence or disciplinary offenses in custody. He is shackled at the hands and legs during all visits and denied opportunities to work, which would allow him to leave his cell. He is detained under a prevention of injury assignment, despite a recommendation from official military psychiatrists that this is not necessary, and that results in his being subjected to extra restrictions, such as checks by guards every 5 minutes and bars on sleeping. More recently, measures nominally apply to ensure Bradley's personal safety, yet used to further his humiliation. For example, forcing him to sleep naked as a suicide prevention measure, coming no less from the same authority that is so obviously committed to his psychological emasculation, are hardly credible. And what is worse, they shamefully smack of the worst excesses of the Soviet Gulag in its heyday. So one's forced to ask what could be the rational, if not moral, basis for such incontestably inhumane treatment. I would like to list a handful of possible explanations leading me to my inevitable, unfortunate conclusion. The first possible explanation would be that Bradley is being punished as a result of a criminal conviction. But this is not true on its face, since he hasn't been tried. He hasn't been tried. And there's the punishment if he would receive as a result of a trial is not consistent with the treatment he's receiving. Is there a ticking bomb of any sort? This is often used as an explanation for harsh measures for people who threaten U.S. security interests. Well, the answer there is no. Bradley is not considered to be party of an ongoing criminal activity that represents any imminent danger to the United States. Well, are the restrictions consistent with the fact that he might pass on information to visitors or members of the general prison population that could further harm U.S. interests? And the fact of the matter there is, no, it's hard to imagine that Bradley has any additional classified information to add to the trove of hundreds of thousands of documents that he is alleged to have supplied to WikiLeaks. So allowing him to interact with outsiders or other prisoners represents no particular purpose as far as his restrictions. And then there's another possibility, at least one that's tactically possible, if not ethically permitted, and that is he's being squeezed to testify against bigger fish. And I think this is doubtful. His relationships with other individuals involved in the WikiLeaks matter is well known. And now any testimony that he would offer in open court is so compromised by his ill treatment in custody that it would be inadmissible. And I'm sad to say that this leads me to only one remaining explanation, and that is that Bradley Manning is nonviolent and incarcerated, and therefore a defenseless individual, is being tormented while in custody to send a message in no uncertain terms to others who might consider leaking or distributing classified information that upon capture, they will be dealt with swiftly and harshly and will be made to suffer in ways that may very well leave them with permanent psychological injury, even before a trial is held to determine their guilt or innocence. We have a word for this. We have words for acts that brutalize harmless, vulnerable people in order to influence the behavior of others. They are called acts of terror. And the systematic application of such acts by a group or a government in the pursuit of political objectives goes by the name terrorism. We have one possible remedy at our disposal, and it's a relatively straightforward one, and that it is in the power of Barack Obama and Secretary of Defense Robert Gates to end the torment of Bradley Manning with a stroke of a pen. And they need to be encouraged to do that. And you can actually encourage them to do that by taking action through a link that I've provided in the description area. And so by a stroke of your pen or by a stroke of your keyboard, perhaps you can see that the terrorizing of Bradley Manning will come to an end soon. I encourage you to follow this link to Amnesty Action on behalf of Bradley Manning and to do so as soon as you can. I realize that I have made some strong claims in this video, and I would like to hear any words of disagreement or correction. In particular, if there are other possible rational purposes served by the inhumane treatment of Bradley Manning, please let me know what you think they might be. Also, if you think that my definition of terror is not applicable in this circumstance, I would like for you to explain either in comments or with a response video. I'm going to close by saying what I always say, and that is that we are all in this together, but I want to emphasize for the purpose of this video that we are all in this together with Bradley Manning.